At that time Jesus went out again beside the lake, and all the crowd was coming to him, and he was teaching them. Word of God, Logos. Jesus is the Word who became flesh. And now he's preaching, my dear friends. His word is power. That's exactly what said. Brethren, the word of God is living and active, sharper, and it's living and active. How that word became flesh and lived among us. Jesus is that living word which was spoken. That word which was far away, and the people were asked to follow the word, follow the law. Word came as a law, Torah, Decalogue, the 10 Commandments. And now that word has become flesh. So that the word of God, Jesus, became one with us. It's amazing. And the word says, and as he passed by, he saw Levi, who the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, follow me. See the power of the word. The word of God is living and active, and it is sharper than any sword, any two-edged sword. So two-edged means it speaks to the preacher and the listener both at the same time, simultaneously. So it should challenge myself and the listener. Now this word is sharper than the sword. What happened with this sword? Sharper than the sword, and piercing the division of soul. Piercing the division of soul and of spirit, of joints and of marrow, and discerning the thoughts and intention of the heart. It pierces through very tiny areas of your life. Only word can penetrate those secrets. And it will separate the joints and marrows. They are so closely connected. Only word can. Imagine joint and a marrow, how closely they are connected. So only a sharp word, a sharp blade can separate it. Word can do that in your life. It can pierce your thoughts, discern your thoughts. The thoughts can be very deceptive. Now what happened with the word, my dear friends? As he was passed by, he saw Levi and son of Alphaeus sitting at the tax booth, and he said, follow me. And he rose and followed him. That's power of the word. My dear friends, that's what is important in your life. What are you doing with the word? Do you really allow that word to speak to you? Pierce your heart, test your thought. Mind is so deceptive. You need to have that word in your life, without which you will always stagnate. You will always go astray. So that's exactly what happened. A sin of an age, long-term sin. Levi must have been there for long years, and now he calls him. Simply, he could separate himself from that, because that word is so sharp, and also it has power for you to give life. The moment he spoke, leave and follow me, that word has power in that particular moment. He followed him immediately. So with the word, you will have power to respond. Without that word, you won't have any strength in your journey. And the word says, follow me. And rose and followed him. And as he reclined at the table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. My dear friends, That word is compassionate. That word is not a law, it's love. And he lived among us. He became one with us. And that high priest, it is said, and no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked and exposed to the eye of him to whom we must give account. Now every sinner, all the mistakes, they are accountable. You cannot hide it. You will be naked before God. You cannot pretend. So that's exactly what happened to this person, Levi. And he's a sinner. Tax collector means a sinner. But then in that sinful nature, God saw him. And also, he could not hide from him. And since then, we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast and confession. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weakness, but one who is in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Now that high priest exactly knows your struggle, because he has gone through everything but sin. He has never sinned. So he has power to strengthen you. He has power to give you life. That is his word, my dear friends. So he understands them. So that's the very reason why they were all seated with him. And rose, and all the tax collectors and sinners were reclining with him and his disciples. For there were many who followed him. And scribes and the Pharisees, when they saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, he said to his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" And when Jesus heard it, he said to them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." My dear friends, that's exactly the meaning of the incarnation. Word becoming flesh to live among us. So that word which gives life, it's life-giving, should definitely give you life. That's how that word gave life to Levi, Matthew. He became Matthew. The very pen, the very books that enslaved people as a tax collector, collecting what is not due. And he pressurized them. And now that very same pen and the book is converted to a gospel. And he used that very same pen to write the good news. The very pen which wrote the plight of the people, enslaved people, how much they are indebted, and tax, they were bound by tax. And now Jesus has paid the price for your salvation. And now he's writing the good news for all the nations, my dear friends. Because Jesus sat with him. Jesus separated him like the sword, separating the marrow and the bone, and joints and the marrow. That's how he separated him from the sin and gave him new mission, strength. That's exactly what should happen with the word, my dear friends. And that's exactly how we are sick and we need the doctor. Jesus is that doctor who gave himself as the medicine for us to be healed and saved, so that we can be a vessel which brings forth that word, that good news to the people, my dear friends. So that's the calling today. That's the calling. He understands us, that he's the high priest who underwent every difficult thing that you and I go through. So, and he understands you, and he gives you strength, and he's calling you by your name to leave your own table and sing and to follow him. Think about it. Have a nice day. May God bless you.